This is the this is the vlog for September 12th, 2018. I don't have anything really prepared tonight. I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, I felt good when I came home today because work was super busy, but I basically stayed ahead of everything and actually finished the day after doing all of the work that I had set for myself. Um, And I know that sounds like a sort of a messed up mentality, like, oh, pat yourself on the back for doing your job and doing it adequately. Because no, I didn't do more than I needed to, really. I did what I needed to, but at a certain point, I've been finding that you sort of have to make sacrifices and just do the best that you can without doing everything that you can. Um, Sorry, I moved that just now. The charging cable was sort of folded under the laptop. So hopefully that didn't make my audio super bad. Um, and it's good that I felt like I was doing okay. And part of why I felt like I was doing okay is that uh, I felt like I had references that made me feel like no matter how bad I feel like I'm doing or things are, I could be caught in hurricane flow. Um, so I know a couple people, Jennifer and Eric, a different Eric from me, obviously, who live in North Carolina. I'm not sure about this. I think they moved there this year after getting married earlier this year or last year, late last year. Can't remember exactly. But they had to evacuate yesterday and they had a hell of a night. I think maybe I briefly touched on this in yesterday's video. Um, but they were in an old van. I think it's an old van. It's an Astrostar. I don't even know if they make that anymore. But they were driving south to South Carolina. I think they knew somebody whose place they were going to stay at who weren't in the area of flow. It's not a hurricane, I guess. It's technically a tropical storm flow. But what's super annoying about Flo is that Flo's got two friends who are, I think, currently on their way to the American Eastern Seaboard, and it's anyone's guess where they're going to hit. Hopefully, they're not just going to keep hammering the same area, although I think that might limit the overall amount of damage that could be done, as opposed to hitting three completely unrelated areas. We'll see. I think the worst thing that could happen to poor Jennifer and Eric would be if they drove south to dodge Flo and got caught up in George and Hugo, whatever their names are. I don't know. I think they switch genders every year, but then it's just they get names. The names start with a letter in order of when they appear. So Flo is F, A, B, C, D, E, F. So Flo is probably the sixth tropical storm uh, to have reached the eastern coast this year, and then the seventh one will be FG, and then the third one EFGH. So George and Hugo. I really hope those aren't actually their names. And like I said, Georgina and Helen are more likely to be the names they use if they're all going to be girls this year, and I don't know if they are. But they had they have dogs, and that makes it difficult to find motels to book because the motels want to demand that the dogs be left in the car all night. And of course, the owner of any dog on the planet says no, that's not very acceptable or completely unacceptable. So they were very lucky they found EMT crew that let them stay in the back room with their dogs for the night. And I believe they are now I think they're now in the hands of my good buddy Grizz. These are all people that I play World of Warcraft with. Grizz's real name is Thomas, and Jennifer's character name is Lemuel, or Lemule. I think it's Lemuel, and Eric's character is named Alatu. So it's sort of terrible and wonderful at the same time. It's terrible that anybody should have to evacuate their home. It's terrible that these storms keep happening with, you know, pretty high frequency and devastating effect. But it is wonderful that we, who are just strangers who met in a virtual world playing a video game, have been able to reach out and help one another. And knowing that that's happening, even though I have very little control and I'm just sort of forced to watch circumstances as they unfold, it's good for me. It's good to know that there are good people out there. And Thomas said something like anybody would do the same if they were in this position. And I just think to myself, would I? Am I that good that I'd be able to just drive up and rescue a couple of friends in a hurricane and their dogs? I think when push comes to shove, people find that they are capable of doing more than they ever realized they were capable of doing. That wasn't a very good sentence. People will find they can do more than they ever thought themselves capable of when faced with horrors like natural disasters. You can quote me on that one. Use the second, cleaner version, though. I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.